Hello, my friends in Monsterland. Good evening once again. Tuesday night at Untold Radio's network, and Real American Monsters is at the helm. We're in control. We're at we're at control for the next hour. So I'm glad to be back. I hope you guys all had a great Memorial Day weekend. It's glad to see everybody in the chat room. Miss Blue Eyed Northern's with us tonight. Mr. Alfred Santa Riga, Ashes to Antics, Flat Rockland is with us too. Also, good evening, sir. And Joanne is back once again. Diane Fowler, of course, is with us. Miss Francesca E. And people are pouring in. And do we have a great guest for you all tonight? We have Father Bob Bailey. Looking very forward to this. As you know, we are searching for answers here. We are trying to connect the phenomena together. The Sasquatch. I was telling Father that I did Sasquatch for 10 years, and I need to find other answers. We've getting EVPs out in the field, and I seen Father Bob. If you guys ever seen the show Paranormal State, it was a show probably I would say early 90s, and Father could probably correct me. And it was a bunch of college people, I believe, at Pennsylvania University, or one of them, and you'll probably have to correct me on that one too. But it was one of my favorite shows, and there was a guy named Ryan Buell, I believe his last name was, and I loved the show. And Father was on the show, and he's also worked with Chip Coffey, who's you've seen on the show, and also Miss Lorraine Warren. So I mean that, and then that self is huge, especially in this field. And he has just gotten off a tour with Annabelle for a couple weeks, riding around in the car with Annabelle. Would you guys want to do that? I sure as heck wouldn't want to do that myself. But he is our guest tonight, and I'm very excited to have him. And it was very kind of him. And at the end of the show, everybody, he will do a blessing for your protective items to take out in the field with you, or whatever you need protecting at your home or anything. Just have it close by at the end of the show, and he's going to do a special blessing. So, without further ado, our guest on Real American Monsters tonight is Mr. Father Bob Bailey. Good evening, Father.
Good evening. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to be here. I'm very excited about this show. Like we talked the other day, I told you we're trying to link, and I've caught numerous EVPs out in the field. And we need to, and a lot of people that have done the Sasquatch research over the years. And I know you told me you didn't know much about Bigfoot from the 70s. Is about all you knew about the Sasquatch, but you're here on the other end of things, the spiritual end, because there's a lot of people here that believe that that's a huge part of what we do out in the fields. And the first thing you asked me is like, do you guys protect yourselves? And I told you I learned the hard way, but now I do. So I'm very excited to talk to you about this stuff. So as we move along here, and you want to just give everybody just a little rundown on who Father Bob Bailey is, and then we'll move on with the show.
Okay, well, I'm a now retired Roman Catholic priest, and which actually is a great thing because it gives me more time to devote to my paranormal work. I'm also founder and co-director with Father Ken Torres of the Holy Sword Apostolate, which is dedicated to education, spiritual liberation, uh, and uh, and just helping people clients uh, with spiritual hauntings, and also a part of what we call the three pillars, which is working with the Holy Sword, and also of a newly formed group that's also dedicated to the work of Ed and Lorraine Warren, which is called the Warren Society, and then Wardruna, which is our metaphysical end. So we kind of got all sides of the spectrum who are dedicated to like generational healing and helping people there. And they have a metaphysical bend to them. So that's the most exciting thing, growing our network at the Holy Sword, and then working with these three pillars.
When you joined the priesthood, did you plan on going this route? Did you plan on becoming the paranormal padre? Is that what you wanted to do?
I gotta say, I was always interested in the paranormal. I never acted on it. But from a very young age, I had a cousin who was a priest, my mother's cousin, and he really, in our weekly visits to my grandparents' house next door, we would talk about many things, and he really taught me well, solid stuff about miracles, about spiritual warfare, about the reality of evil and the devil. So from a young age, I knew that. And I was always open to miracles, apparitions, and things like that. So it wasn't a far leap of faith for me to jump from the miraculous to the paranormal because miracles are paranormal, they're above the normal. So I was always interested in the whole idea of what spirits are and all of that. And but I couldn't really act on it because none of my friends were into it. It wasn't until after I was ordained a priest, much later into my priesthood, that I met some people involved in the paranormal, and I was all excited because it's like, wow, I can talk to people that, we're like-minded. And I was asked to help with a local group to a house that was had spirits in it, and I helped do a deliverance over as a priest. And once I did that, I said, this is what I want to do. This is where I want my priesthood, part of my priesthood, to be part of. Not the only thing, but it's a component that wasn't really happening much with priests. So I went to my bishop and asked permission if I could work with paranormal groups, and he was very open. And he gave me a few caveats to work, you know, and he said, "Don't do exorcisms." I said, "Don't worry, I'm not looking to do an exorcism without permission." And so that's how I started. Then when I worked with Ryan Buell, and struck up a friendship with him first, and then worked with him, that's when things began to mushroom and people began seeking me out, and I started a group called PWSM, the Presidium Warriors of St. Michael, and did that for years. And then I had to take a break from all that for a while. And now I'm back with the Holy Sword, working with Father Ken Torres he's on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast. He's Eastern Orthodox, I'm Roman Catholic, so we're like two lungs of the same body, and it's a beautiful thing that's going on. And now working with Wardruna, and working with a society that is dedicated to the work of the Warrens, who I admire so much. It's just taken my priesthood now into whole new a whole new journey that I'm excited about.
Now, did you have to go through special training with like go to the Vatican or anything like that to become certified or anything like that? Is there any certain kind of training route you have to?
N No, there's no certification. The only time they do now, because there's more of a call for exorcism. It's still rare. It is still rare, but they do have a training in Rome at the University of Regina Apostolorum, and I believe there's also something in the United States. But there's no real certification. There's no such thing as a certified demonologist or a certified exorcist in the Catholic Church. The bishop calls you. You might be the role of the diocesan exorcist, but there's no certification involved. And what I've done, we didn't have much training in spiritual warfare at all in the seminary, so I kind of had to learn as I was going along, over the years, trial and error.
Well, this isn't the field that you want to be trial and error in the way I see it. But
Well,
so
yeah, I found out what works better than
right, right, I understand.
how
Yeah.
I can improve.
Um, so demons. Let's have you. How often have you come across demons in your tenure?
Well, I have, but I would say if I had, say, 10 cases, okay, I would say 5 of them had, I could see that the activity could be explained, uh, and yet some of them also might have partly paranormal, partly psychological issues, and then others were just explained away, or the people had, emotional and psychological issues that were not paranormal, and we would try to help them in that way, steer them towards help in that way. So, about half, or maybe a little over half, would have been actual some kind of an entity there.
Mm,
But as far as the real demons, yeah, maybe 5 out of the 10.
how dangerous is that for, say, a normal person to I don't even know how to ask the question.
Enter into,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
mean?
enter into it, try to help a person that doesn't know what they're doing, like myself, say a friend of mine said that he is having issues, he thinks it's a demon. What if I went to help somebody? What would be something that you would
Well, that's a very good question, and this is something when I had PWSM, which I would try to educate, is that demons are a whole different category than regular spirits. So, first of all, you have to be a person of faith. You have to be. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. People that go in there and they don't have any kind of faith, it's dangerous. It's dangerous because you're going in your own name, you're going by your own things, and you're no match for a fallen angel. Um, and also, not only that you're a person of faith, but you know how to protect yourself when you're going in, and that you do the right thing, and realize what you're dealing with, that you're not just dealing with a human spirit, um, and not provoke, I mean, not to conjure up. There are groups that go in with Ouija boards and try to do seances and all that, and they don't know what they're doing, and they end up making things worse. And then we have to try and clean up after that, or open portals, they open doorways, spiritual doorways. So you have to have a group. If you are a paranormal group and you're investigating, first of all, you should always pray before you go for protection. Protect yourself, no matter what, because you don't know what you're going into. But if you encounter something that you think is dark or demonic, then you need to, whoa, stop. Do I have what it takes in this group to deal with that? And to be honest, and if you say, I can't, we don't have the experience, we don't have the knowledge, then refer to someone who can help,
so
you
you
know?
just made a big comparison with the Sasquatch world. There's people out there that believe that the Sasquatch use portals. They believe that they're the Nephilim. There's people that believe that they're fallen angels, the Sasquatch. Portals. They believe that they're evil. I mean, there's all outtakes on it. What I don't what would be the chance that a demon could take that form in our forests?
Demons can take any form, they want. They can even take the form of a child. A lot of times, people come in and they'll do, the Ouija board or whatever, and they'll say, "Oh, my name is Mikey." That's what happened with the Annabelle doll. The psychic came in and said it was a child, and it wasn't a child. It was a demonic force. So, yeah, they can take any kind of, and they can mimic anything to get themselves in.
So
It's interesting because I my limited knowledge of Sasquatch was from the '70s, and I never dreamed of even thinking about them as a demonic or Nephilim, but it's a good point.
yeah, it's brought up often, and there's many people that believe that it's true.
Mhm.
Um, Annabelle, let's talk about Annabelle. You just got off a tour with her for 2 weeks, which is not like a rock and roll tour. Um,
No.
traveling in the same car as Annabelle. How
Yeah.
come whatever possesses or whatever inside the doll Annabelle, how come nobody can get rid of that?
They could, but they choose not it's better to contain it than for it to go out and go somewhere else
So
because of the nature of it.
so it could attach to somebody else if you got it out of the
Yes.
doll.
Yes.
So what do
And
you
it's also a teachable moment too.
so what do you
So
who or what do you think is inside of Annabelle?
I don't know if there's anything inside of her. I think whatever the evil is there, it's attached, but it's also using. I don't think it's possessing them like a demon can possess a person. But I don't know. I don't know what's there. I do bind it. I pray. When we were out there and just continue to bind it so that it doesn't come out. When we're there, we bless the place of holy water, and I command in the name of the Lord that it can't do any harm to people. It can't follow anyone, and people are safe with that, unless they taunt it, make fun of it, or start aggravating it. Then all bets are off. You know, that's why I say I would not do that. I mean, I'm not afraid of Annabelle, not in the least. But I know enough that I'm not going to test God by doing that. You know, so.
Is there prayers on the case that she's kept in? Is that why she's contained into the glass case that she can't?
Yes, well, there are 3 crosses there. There is, the words of the Our Father behind her, behind the curtain there. There are 2 plaques of St. Michael on either side, and it's regularly, at least once a month, or once every other month, uh, one of us, myself or another priest, will go in and do binding prayers to be sure that spirit's bound there, you know?
How many priests are look over Annabelle?
I don't know. I don't think well, none of us really look over her. It's just if they're there. I know there's a priest in Connecticut, and I know there's myself. I don't know if there's, you know, nobody specifically assigned to that. It's just I'm friends with the NESPR people, and I was invited to go onto the tour to help, to be there with them, and so I took on that role. And because I have a history with Lorraine, and my love for Lorraine and the work of the legacy of Ed and Lorraine, that I volunteered to bind, to bless the museum and to bind whatever's there.
Right. Now you're pretty good friends with Chip Coffey, and Chip Coffey is pretty amazing guy. Guys
I
don't
haven't
know.
seen him in a long time, but I worked with him. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Um, what would he say about Annabelle? What would he pick up on the doll itself when he was around? If he was in
But
spot, if
but
he
that was I don't know because Annabelle was not part of the whole. Uh, that was a whole separate thing.
right. Because I thought they called Chip in one time to see Annabelle. I thought I don't know what
Uh,
it was or
if they did, I'm not aware of it. They could have, but I'm not aware of it.
okay.
It wasn't in my time
All right.
with Chip.
All right. So what would you suggest to people to prepare themselves to enter the forest? Say they're experiencing voices. I have recordings I want to play for you. I have a friend that lives in Alabama. His name is Flat Rock. And he
Hmm.
sent me 2 recordings that he wants you to listen to. And they both say the same thing. And I'll play them for you. And I want to get your opinion. But I'll have to play it before I ask the question. So let me pull them up, and we're gonna play these 2 recordings from Flat Rock because he's a little concerned. He has Sasquatch on his property all the time. He has recordings of them, and now he's picking up these EVPs of voices that are pretty intense, and they're saying the same thing. Let's see if you can grasp on. All right, I'll play the first one. Here's the first one. Did you hear what it? I'll play it one more time. We'll play it.
I
Right
heard the
that.
voice, but I can't really make out.
No, the last two was kill you. So now I'm going to play the other recording. I believe it's saying, "I'll kill you." Both of them.
Okay, okay. Yeah, it's a little hard to hear
Right,
from the
right. I didn't have time
that,
to really
but
clean them up. They're coming off a parabolic dish on his backyard, but they're both saying the same thing.
and where did he leave that out? The EVPs out in the woods?
He lives out in the backwoods of Alabama. So
So so I mean, but he was out in the woods when he heard that?
no, he has a parabolic dish. He records and films the Sasquatch on his property for safety, and he's
Right, right,
now he's picking up these EVPs, and they're
right,
saying
but I mean, did he pick it up from the outside or from the inside?
they're outside,
Oh, they're
outside.
outside, okay.
Yep. It says
Yeah,
flower as he says it says, "You'll kill me," is what it's saying.
"You'll kill me."
"You'll kill me."
So you think the Sasquatch is afraid?
And we don't know. That's where we don't know if it's spirits or what we think
Yeah,
it is or what it would be. We're just trying to see what you would think would be saying stuff like that in the for.
it's hard to know. I mean, you have to have more evidence besides the EVPs, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know the context of what they mean by "He'll kill me," you know?
Right, right, right. Yeah, he's just
It's different. I if it said, "I'm gonna kill you," I'd be a little bit upset.
right, right. Yeah,
Much more upset.
he's just picking up. He records all the time, and it just the same phrase came up for him. So I said I will check with him and see what he thinks.
I mean, it
So
could be a spirit that's afraid, of it.
uh,
If it's happening all the time and the same message, it could be a residual voice, you
okay,
know? Something that's I don't know, maybe something happened in the woods there, a violent crime or a violent murder or attack by something or someone, and you hear that, you know?
right, right.
Uh,
It's reliving it. It's coming back again, time and
yeah,
time.
I mean, the only reason why I say that is if it's the same message and the same thing being heard all the time, is it around the same time that he hears it?
Flat Rock, is it the same time you hear it? Is it like the same time you're getting the recording at night? Let's see if he answers. He's on there. I'm actually going to stay at his place in September, so I'd like to get a little background myself on what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we'll wait for him to come back here.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to do just one piece of evidence like that, but like I said, if it said, "I'm gonna kill you," I'd be a little bit more concerned about it, but if it keeps saying the same thing, that's the only that I could be wrong, but I just throw that out as a possibility that it could be something residual
Right.
that
So
keeps being recorded.
what does Flat Rock says? First one was January 2nd, and and one in February, both between 11 and 12.
Yeah, so it
All
could
right.
be a residual.
Just have to keep an eye on it, Flat Rock, and then we can get a hold of we'll email Father down the line if we get
If
more
he's
evidence.
if he's really concerned, if he can get himself some holy water, just sprinkle the area with holy water,
Mm,
for protection.
that's what I do. I bring holy water with me out in the field now and
Oh, yeah.
smudge, and I pray to Saint Michael for my
Yep.
protection. Um, so all right, well, so let's get into it. Let's get into one of the cases. One of your cases that you actually had to face a demon at, and you actually had to fight this demon. Uh, I don't know how much you can talk about it or where. I mean, obviously can't use people's names or places or anything like that. But what actually happened?
I can actually tell about a case because it was on an episode of The Haunted. They picked it up, and it was involving my assistant at the time. So, I can talk about that. We were called to a convenience store, I believe it was in Massachusetts, because of activity. So we went there to respond to that. There was phenomenon happening there. As I was trying to do the prayers, it was in the basement where the activity happened. Um, one of the guys who was filming actually got bitten, and when we went over to see it, you could actually see the bite mark in his arm. And there was a box that fell over where nobody was around there. My assistant, who was an empath, really got overcome really bad, and I had to lay hands and pray over him for that. But eventually, uh, in dealing with all that, we were successful, and they never had any problems. So we come home, but then all of a sudden, my assistant Rob starts having activity at his house, and he keeps dreaming that he's being attacked by this demon. It's like a seducing demon, and we've got him on tape thrashing back and forth because we saw it showed a candlestick actually moving from one end of the nightstand to the other, and we got film of a screeching like a siren. You know what a siren is?
Hmm.
It's a and we got that caught on tape. So basically, it was creating havoc, and it was trying to get in the way of uh, you know their marriage. But thankfully, his wife is strong and realizes what was happening. So I had to go a couple of times to do a deliverance in the house, and it was difficult because it kept moving. Every time I went to go bless one area, it would move to another. One of our tech guys there, I heard him say, "Ow!" I said, "What?" He took off his shirt, and there were marks on his back. I believe 3. I could be wrong, but I believe 3 on that. So finally, at the end, as I'm trying to do this for the second time, uh, I told his wife, "You have to reclaim your husband. Use your power, personal power, and your faith, and tell this seducing spirit to leave now." And she did, and it made the rest of the deliverance. Um, it made it successful, and we finally got rid of it. It was formidable for me because it involved a friend of mine, so it was a very personal case, and so that it was tough. But we got so much evidence, and actually you can see it on TV because The Haunted took that episode. And if you go on YouTube, it's called The Demonic Seduction. It'll show that that uh, whole case from the convenience store to my friend's house. But
So
that was a very that was a very powerful one.
it was a succubus. Is that
Yes,
what it was? Yes.
yes.
I've actually had s- interaction with one of them here at my house, like with a. It was. I don't want to get into it too much, but we had to chase it out. I told you I had to have my house blessed. That was the second time. The first time was my grandchildren were seeing monsters in the house, in the
Mhm.
corners of the house, and then I wound up with 3 scratches on the on the inside of my arm. And my friend that's in the chat room tonight, Al, I went to his birthday party, I was telling him what's going on, how the kids are saying, and then he sees my arm. He's like, "Where'd you get those scratches?" I said, "I have no idea where those scratches came from, Al. I just woke up with them." So he set me up with someone to come to the house to bless the house and everything, and it was quite the experience, and it worked. There was no more monsters, and the
Mhm.
house. Even my wife was like, "The house feels so much lighter." Um, so it was pretty amazing. So this is real, Father. I mean, we're trying to get to the point to everybody in the chat and whoever out is listening to
Mhm.
the stuff is 100% real. It happens.
It
How
does, it
how
does.
often do you have to tell people that, they need to think about this stuff when, like, when they're experiencing stuff, to reassure them that this is really happened. This isn't made up fairy tale stuff.
You mean the people that call me for help, you
Right,
mean?
right, yeah.
Oh, no, they don't have a problem believing it because 'cause they're experiencing it. Um, it's tough. Some people are relieved when you find that there's a plausible explanation for the haunting. Some people are very relieved. Other people aren't. They just don't want. They want it's paranormal, no matter what, you know. And especially when you do more background digging, and there's persons on medications. They have different psychosis or psychological, and there's a pattern there that could be, and you try to tell them that it's not paranormal. I would be relieved, but some it's so hard, they just will not accept that, and it's tough. I remember I had a case, oh, I don't even remember what I was doing. I was filming with Paranormal State, and so I went right from one of those cases and flew to this other place, and the person, was saying they had all stuff was happening, and as I'm going through and listening, I'm going, "There's something not right." And then as the person continued to talk and continued to talk, I said, "Oh, she's not right. There's something," and, I called Lorraine Warren because she had called her once. So she got on the phone with her. Then she said, Could you have Father Bob get back on the phone?" And so I got back on. They said, "Lorraine, what do you think?" She goes, "Get out of there. Honey, get out of there. It's not, there's nothing happening there." So, but it was very difficult to try to explain that, that's the tough, and I'm sure anybody that's an investigative group that comes to the same conclusions, and people don't wanna hear that, I'm sure they know what I'm talking about,
Right,
so,
right. You gotta vet.
it's tough, it's tough. The only thing good was, I think the husband was relieved because he is suspected, and I said, "You need to get help for her," and I think he was relieved I didn't go down the demonic route because he didn't think it was either, so
Right.
that part I felt good about, you know?
So Ryan liked to on Paranormal Say, we'll talk a little bit about Ryan liked to challenge and he liked to push things a little bit, I thought a little bit too far. Did you ever have a talk with him and tell him that he was pushing a little too far?
Well, I did at times. I also made sure that we prayed, and that he went to the sacraments before. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but they like to really, like, get things going, I mean, and they could do it too, so, but they got that's how they got the results, and they got a lot of it wasn't like this, like, Ghost, like, these big names. Paranormal State
No,
was a great little show, but it wasn't, like, huge, huge, you know what I mean? But they got great evidence, a great show. If anybody look at Paranormal State, backtrack and watch the episodes. Um, what's her name that moved on to bigger things now? What's it, Katrina? Is that her name?
oh, Katrina, yeah. Katrina and Heather, I love them. They were my favorites there, next to Ryan. But, yeah, I gotta say, honestly, I was a fan of the show, before, and that's why I wrote to Ryan, and I said, "I'm a Catholic priest, and I support what you're doing," because he was using faith as part of it. And then he right away responded, and we struck up a friendship. So, um, you know, I I was able to, really talk with him and things like that. And I got to tell you, and I was on 3 seasons. There was never anything that was faked. In fact, when production, and they can want to go their own way with things if they want, if they don't think it's thrill enough. I mean, he stood up to them. I gotta say, he stood up to them, and so, but he was 100% client oriented. It wasn't the big frills. We went on PRS, outings and stuff, and that, but for the show, it was cases that he was 100% on the with the clients, and I haven't seen that to that intensity before.
No,
You know.
they did a great job. Let's talk a little bit about Lorraine Warren. Was she now she was a demon fighter. She went after him. Was she ever attacked? Was she chased by demons? Was she how did she protect herself?
Oh,
Jeez.
oh no, she did. Yes, she did. Well, yeah, I'm sure in those early days, in those cases that we're doing, they both were attacked. Um, but while I worked with her on the show, no, she was very grounded. Um, her best buddy was Saint Padre Pio, who was one of my favorites too, and she had a relic of him, as I do, and she always kept that, and she also had a relic of a portion of the True Cross, which I also had. So yeah, she was grounded and protected herself, and she's very strong, and yet she would, if you're talking to her, she gave her whole attention. It was like there was nobody else in the room, and she was just lovely, I coined a phrase with her. I think that's why we became so close. I said, "You know what? You remind me of Paranormal Mary Poppins." And 'cause she used to have that little bun in the back of her hair. I say, "I could see you coming down with your umbrella, and then there's your big sack there with the Bible and holy water and rosary." And she laughed. She loved it. In fact, her son-in-law, Tony, had told me, uh, you know, she remarked about that. So we had a fun time. I learned a lot from her, and I just enjoyed being with her because she was
Mm,
so real, and strong too. I mean, I remember one case she wanted us to go around the neighborhood to ask people to pray for a particular case we were doing, and she wanted to see if people would pray at a certain time for us. And it's like, I really don't want to go to a stranger's house. Oh, Father, come. It's like you don't say no to Lorraine Warren. You just don't. So I went. And but yeah.
but
Uh,
she was the real deal. She was the real
oh
deal.
gosh, yeah. People, they're saying they're phonies. They're not. They're not. They were the godparents of the paranormal. Anybody that says they're phonies are jealous. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say that. But if they made inroads way back when there was no, Ryan Buell says this all the time. There was no TikTok. There was no social media. They were doing it in the '60s, and Lorraine's phone number was there listed. People could call at any hour, and they did, and she picked up the phone, you know?
She was going to the craziest places, in
Yeah,
the craziest places, the most haunted, whatever,
yeah,
possessed places, and fighting for it.
yeah,
Mm.
because people had no one else. There wasn't many really groups out there doing that back then. So they were like pioneers. They had parapsychology, but they went down the route of, investigation and paranormal stuff going right in there. So, and helping directly people. So, I call them, the godparents of the paranormal, because I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for them, their legacy, you know,
Right, right.
and what they left us. And I got interested in the paranormal because of their cases that I knew of.
Have you ever heard of a case where there is a place that is possessed by a demon that's very strong, and it reaches out to certain people and tries to lure them to them?
Yes, and I'm one of them.
And how dangerous
Yeah.
is that?
Uh, can be. There is a place where I'm trying to help a soul, and they want me to go to this place. There's something evil there, and a friend of mine who's gifted said, "Don't you dare go there alone because it wants you there." And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Don't worry, I won't go alone anyways. I can't drive anymore, so." But yeah, it's formidable. Yeah, they do that. They do that. And there are also, I do know this, that once you start doing this work, like I'm not an exorcist, but I do deliverance, and I do what they call simple exorcism over places. Um, you're marked, and they know, and they will follow you. And I've been told that too. So, and I'm not the only one. I'm not just pointing me out. But so, yeah, that can happen, and you got to be careful. You got to be careful. You got to know your strengths. You got to know, you got to know when to act and when not to act. And so, yeah.
Do they attach to use your energy? Is that what is that why they attach to you? Because they can't do it on, excuse me, on their own?
Some can use your energy. No, I think they attach uh, just to be there, because they want to. But uh, they can use energy, but you can protect yourself from that.
Right.
You know.
What if you
Uh,
don't what say you're out in the forest and you walk across a place you're not supposed to be and something happened 50 years ago, very violent there and was bad, and is it possible for something to attach to you there and you bring it home with you?
yes, yes. If there are intelligent entities there, yes. If it's residual, no, that won't happen. But if 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 there's something there, can. That's why you have to protect yourself before and after that, and just set the ground rules,
Are they
and say
looking
nothing
for
can.
I'm sorry. Are they looking for a certain person? Are they looking for a certain aspect that a person has, like low self-esteem or sad and, or it doesn't matter to them?
I probably wouldn't matter that, but they'd be looking for a weak person to be able to attach to. I mean, a strong person of faith that knows what they're doing, they won't be able to. But someone, who may be weak or have emotions or whatever, it could. I have heard of it happening. I have prayed over people who have brought attachments home. Yeah.
So it's a common thing, and again, it's real.
Yeah, it's not uncommon at all, and it's real, and it's something you got to be vigilant about, and that's why I think unless unless you have a goal in mind to help people, be careful about going out and being thrill seekers. It just seems to me a lot of groups today are just out doing that, but what are you doing to help people? Nothing. You talk about, I'm going to this haunted place and that haunted locale. Okay, that's fun and games, but are you helping people? And if you're going out to reputedly dark places just to get evidence, you're gonna, y
We get bit.
yeah, you could be. And, like a friend of mine, there's a place in Massachusetts that a person wants me to go to because there is evil there and wants me to confront it. Okay, what is the reason? Because people are feeling it. Okay, there's a reason for me to go there. I'm not going there to get evidence. I'm going there to do battle. You know, that's a different story, but I'm not going to go into a place just for the sake of going in there just to experience that because number one, it's dangerous, and number two, why? You know, like anybody, I already know it exists. Why do I need more proof? You know,
Right, that's the way.
why do I need more evidence?
Yep, that's why you're here tonight. I brought you here just to, to show people that this could be what's going on in the forest, and this could be what we're experiencing, and it's real,
Yeah.
and it's important to be careful, and it's awareness. That's what it's all about. You have
Yes,
to be
awareness.
aware.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you coming because this is huge. I mean, that probably has people don't think it has nothing to do with Sasquatch, I'm sure, and 100 groups that I posted this to, but it does because this is going on in the forest. It's going on when you walk out of the forest. It's going on your everyday life. This can happen. So, um, I just think it's important. I think it's all linked together. It's like the portal thing. What do you think a portal is in your in what
A
you
portal is a door to another dimension or a demonic realm or whatever. Like when you open a portal by conjuring spirits, you're opening a doorway to let you can be opening up a doorway to let evil spirits in that formerly they were blocked from doing. But because you're playing around and don't know what you and what you're playing with fire, and that's what happens. And a doorway can open, and once that doorway's opened, then I gotta find the portal to shut it, and it's not always easy, you know, uh, to find the portal, you know.
and that's what I tell people. I said, okay, so even if I've never seen one and I don't know, but I think the Sasquatch and other beings come from portals. I think they know how to use them. And I tell people that they're not the only things that use them. There's other things that can come and go in these
Oh yeah,
doorways. And
oh yeah,
you just help me, emphasize that a little bit more. You have to be
yeah. You gotta be careful. This is still a pioneer journey we're all going on. Nobody has all the answers. Nobody. None of us do. We're still exploring. We're still finding out. But we just got to be careful. When you're playing with the other side, we got to remember we're finite human beings. And on the other side, they're not all finite. And they're certainly not human beings. So, we got to remember when we're dealing with evil entities, they're fallen. They have fallen angels. Angels have much more intelligence, much more strength, much more perception. You are no match trying to go against them in your own name. You're not. You're going to get devoured.
so people shouldn't mess around with it. So if you don't know what you're
No,
doing, don't mess around with it. It's just gonna it
correct.
could open up doorways. You could do whatever. You don't know what you're doing, so just leave it be.
Yeah,
We're gonna open up.
or go in protected. The main thing is say if you're doing an investigation, protect yourself before, protect yourself after. Make sure that it doesn't go home with you. And just be vigilant because you don't know.
Okay, we're gonna open up the questions here for Father. If you guys got them, please in all capital letters because I can't really see too well, and it helps me find your questions easier. I've had 4 detached retinas, Father.
Oh, I get injections in my eye every so many weeks myself.
Um,
So,
I used to get them every month. They got this new steroid that's out, and it's supposed to last for 3 years, so knock on wood, but
oh,
every
good.
month. I know all about the injections to the eye. It's not a great thing.
Mm-mm.
So this is basically Flat Rockland asked, how much of a demonic activity is from folks summoning these things? Aleister Crowley, Jack Parsons.
How much?
It says how much of how
What
much
was?
of the demonic activity is from folks summoning these things? Some even.
I think a good number of them are a good number. I mean, if you're summoning, they're gonna come. They will come.
What's the point? Why do they feel the need to summon? Is that just what they practice or um
Well, some practice, others, I think it's just for giggles. They think it's a big joke, and it isn't. You know, uh, you may be fooling around, but the other side doesn't fool around. They're like they take it seriously. It's like these groups that the satanic groups, and they say that's just a gimmick. Well, they don't take it as a gimmick. You start saying "Hail Satan," you may be saying that just as a gimmicky thing or whatever, but they're hearing that. You know.
Are you familiar with CERN,
No.
where they're ramming the protons at supersonic speed and out in Switzerland, and they said
No.
they just turned lead into gold doing this.
Really?
They said they have open doorways out there, and they have the statue of, on the front. I can forget the name. How do you think that it's just not good to be playing with stuff that you don't know the outcome of? I mean, if you're ramming protons at supersonic speeds to make worlds and open doorways, do you think that's a smart thing to do?
No. No, if you're not knowing what you're doing, no, you shouldn't.
Right. I
Shouldn't.
just think CERN's a bad
I
thing.
I yeah, I don't know anything about it, so I can't really comment on any more than what you just told me, but
Right. I'll send you some information after the show you can read up on. It's pretty
okay.
great. So Mike at CARC says, "What are the differences between demonic oppression and possession, and which cases seem to happen more often? I believe in the Catholic Church doesn't think someone can actually be possessed."
No, that's not true. The Catholic Church does. That's why we have a university, that's why we have a training for exorcists. It's just rarer. It is. It's just rarer. However, the difference between oppression and possession is oppression is coming from the outside. You're being oppressed by a spirit on the outside. It might even be affecting you physically, but still, it's not. When you're possessed, that person, that entity, that demon takes over you, and you are eclipsed, and that demon takes possession. When you're oppressed, it's still bad. I would say the most cases would be oppression, and it gets confused with possession because when everybody thinks of demonic influence, they automatically think of possession. They don't know that there's obsession, oppression, temptation. There is vexation. There's all different types of demonic influence and demonic activity. So, but yeah, oppression. The difference for that is it's from the outside, not it's not a demon possessing you from the inside.
I have what would be what are the steps to take? Now say you think you have a demon in your house and it is affecting your whole family and you're of a sound mind and you really know what are the steps that need to be taken to get a hold of someone like yourself to come in and check things out?
Yeah, well, um, I would say go to your local clergy and ask, and try to present evidence first, make sure that you have good evidence. I mean, there's things that you can do yourself if you do that, if you feel. There are prayers you can say for protection. There's holy water you can sprinkle upon in your room, put up holy objects, uh, you know, have a Bible front and center and use that Bible, pray that Bible. Um, put Christian or religious music on in the house to create a positive atmosphere. There are different things that you can do, and that might help right then and there. And then if you find that it's wreaking havoc and doing very dark things, yeah, then you should present that evidence and say, this is what's happening.
What is the strongest thing that you personally could use in a case like that? What's the big gun that you would bring to fight it like a very powerful demon? How would you approach that?
Um, well, for a very powerful demon, I would I would bring what I have done in someone's house is offer the Holy Mass in the house, try and get the demon out and use the Blessed Sacrament. However, I do have a relic of the true cross, a speck of the true cross in a reliquary. I do bring that with me, and I get tell you, in a house that I was in, when I went with it, I just held it up, and that REM pod went nuts and actually shut off.
Well, that's pretty powerful piece of
Yeah, yeah. So that's one of the heavy hitters, but mostly it's commanding. It's using my faith, you know, um, all things together. But the most powerful that I found is using the relic of the Holy Cross, uh, and even having after that, burying the Saint Benedict medals, the four medals on the four ends of the property, to create a hedge of protection. Lorraine was a proponent of that.
mm, okay. My friend, he says, ask about subconscious fear on investigations.
Subconscious fear.
Is there do you have subconscious fear when you're on investigation? I guess maybe that's what he's asking. Do you fear?
Well, I think if I'm understanding correctly, what they're trying to say is if you're going in afraid to begin with, you know, you probably shouldn't be doing it, because if you have that subconscious fear there, then if there is something formidable there, they can use it against you.
Okay. I have a blue eyed. She goes, all due respect, Father. She says, can you explain why you need to travel with possessed dolls and objects?
The reason why we do is because it is a teachable moment. Right now, the museum is closed because of zoning, so people cannot go in there. When you have something like this is their outlook, NESPR, is that it is contained, it is bound. People have an interest in that. So you get, especially young people, when I tell you the droves, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people came. When they come there, you can tell them about the reality of hauntings and spiritual warfare. And I was available to pray over people, and many, many people came to be prayed with. So it's a teachable moment. You can agree or disagree, but it's a way to get the interest is there, where you're going to reach people that you may not reach any other way.
Okay. Plus, you have to have you really need some. What if someone went down and they needed, you need the priest there at that time. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? What if the glass case was broken and she fell out and something really went down? Like,
yeah. I mean, I don't have to have been there, but number one, they're my friends. Number two, I believe in what they're doing as a group. And so this is the first of its kind that they did, bringing it like that. Ed and Lorraine, one of the biggest misnomers that's out there continual. Ed and Lorraine said it should never go out of the museum. That's not true. They used to have nights with Annabelle because of the fact everybody could not go into the museum. It's in a residential area, so and the zoning. So they did go out with her. So I don't know where that came from, that it shouldn't go out. I mean, it shouldn't go out willy-nilly, but if there's a reason for it, yeah. And yeah, is it gimmicky? The devil's on the run. Yeah, it is. But again, it's their way of trying to get interest, people to come in, and then to know the reality. If you know there's reality of evil, then you know there's reality of good too. You know.
right. No, I asked this question to Father before the show, and this has to do a little bit with what Pat just asked, and with the traveling with the doll. And he asks us, why is the soul bound in the doll instead of letting it cross over?
hmm and that is because uh, they found Ed and Lorraine found that it was better to contain that evil in there than to chance it going somewhere else and attaching somewhere else, because that could happen.
And they can study it there. They can see what the doll, what happens to certain things, and
Mhm.
probably get some pretty good information from whatever's inside that doll. I mean, I'm sure they put the ghost, what do they call them? The ghost boxes up to him and ask questions to Annabelle, and I'm sure she's talked to her or he or whatever's inside. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, and basically, it's safe. It's safe, possessed, eh, it has been how many times bound by priests? It's contained in there. The only time it's gonna do anything is if you taunt it, and it's still gonna be bound, but it can still do something because now you're doing something. Now you're crossing the line with it, and you gotta know how to react and how to behave with something like that and handle that, you know?
okay. Well, we're all over the hour mark. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah, just like that. Just it's boom.
Holy cow.
Very interesting. It's
No, they
all
were really good questions too.
yeah, they are great questions. I got a really good chat room. They're very good people. They're here every week, and I love them all. But it looks like every wrench in the books in the in the house tonight. You got a lot of wrenches on the other shows. So, Father, before you go, um, all right, I got one more question here,
Okay.
and this comes from my friend Al Santoriga. He says, "Father, please explain how you can't kill a demon. It just moves on to another host."
That you can't kill a demon?
Right? You can't.
Yeah, no, you can't because it lives on just like our spirits live on. You can kill us in the body, but our spirits, our soul still lives on for all eternity. Same thing as an angel, an angelic being. You can't kill an angelic, and a demon is a fallen angel. So you can't kill it or destroy it.
So why doesn't it return to hell? Why does it stay on earth? Why does it stay here? I mean, if you banished it from it, why isn't it drawn back down? Why does it stay here?
Good question, and we don't know all the answers to it,
Gotcha.
and I have to honestly say, I don't know. Some you can, when I'm banishing, I tell them to go to the cross for judgment, but I don't know. For whatever reason, in this cosmic struggle, they're allowed, you know?
Okay. So we're gonna let Father get on his way here. What do you got planned? What do you got planned coming up, Father?
Um In July, I'm going, with a group to Fatima, Portugal, where Our Lady appeared to the 3 children in 1917. Talk about paranormal, that's a paranormal but it's a favorite place of mine on earth. It's the most special place for me to go, and, I've been there a number of times. I have a feeling this is my last time there, traveling there, so I'm looking forward to going with a group to there for 10 days. And then in August, I'm going to California, uh, to speak at a Paracon. Um, I don't know if I have anything in September. Then in October, I have 3 weekends of places to go. We're going with Annabelle to Rock Island and to Kentucky, and then I'm also going to Cleveland to speak at another conference with Waldruna, the Waldruna Society.
Okay. I got one more question for you. Why do you think they closed down the Warrens Museum and they're just saying it's a zoning thing? Do you think they're
No,
doing it on
def
purpose, or is it
oh,
really?
no, absolutely. It was open. It's the people who were on that zoning, the person on the zoning board. She gave a lot of hassles to it, but no, 100%. It's a zoning.
Okay.
I mean, it's basically it's in like a almost like a cul-de-sac kind of thing. So You know,
Yeah, you
hopefully someday we'll be in a bigger place.
can't sit and have people out in the middle of the street with Ouija boards all night long, with candles.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Do you know that when we got back, there was an intruder on the porch, quarter 1 in the morning,
Just waiting for you
trying to
to get
take
home.
no, looking in, trying to get in their house to make something for TikTok.
You don't want to.
I
That's one house you don't want to be breaking into and trying to grab something. That's for sure.
you know, well, they learned.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, thank you, Father. Hang out backstage, and I'll say goodnight to you when I say goodbye to everybody else.
okay.
All right. So thank
Oh,
you.
wait, you want me to bless everything?
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Uh,
So Father was kind enough. Thank you for reminding me. My head's spinning right now with all the info I got today. So Father is kind enough he said he would bless your protection thing. So if you have something that you need that you take in the forest with you, or you want something blessed, hold it. I guess hold it in your right hand, left hand.
already, just hold it.
Just hold it in your hand. He's going to do a blessing for protection. Look at all mine. I got a whole handful of my goodies right here. So, all right. So let me take my hat off too.
Our help is in the name of the Lord who created heaven and earth. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon all these articles of protection. May these articles of protection and all those who use it be blessed and protected through the merits of our Lord. May they be safe within the light of God, and may all evil flee from these objects. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, thank you, Father, for reminding me because I totally forgot. I guess
No problem.
so wound up in the show I lose my mind. But again, hang out backstage. I'll be right back. And
All right. Take care, everyone. God bless you.
you had a lot of comments. Said great job. Thank you, Father. So, ladies and gentlemen, Father Bob Bailey. All right, everybody. What a great show that was. The mission here to link things is continuing. And if you didn't see the links between certain things here tonight with what we experience in the forests and what we do in our everyday lives with things that surround us, it's I don't know. You have to take it all in and see what's really going out there. These demons are real, these entities are real, and they're in the forest and they're in the streets, and you have to be careful. And the portals and all this is real. It's all real, folks. And hopefully someday we'll learn how to how it all works. But for right now, awareness helps. So just be aware of your surroundings, be aware to protect yourself. And that's all I got. So next week's guest is Mr. Frank Santariga, the first parapsychologist in the United States. Works with Han Holzer psychics. He worked with mediums, Ethel Johnson Myers, Sybil Leek. He's an author. He's an experiencer. He's an investigator. And he's Al Santariga, the Squatch Father's brother. He will be our guest next week. So make sure you come in 8 o'clock Eastern next Tuesday night. So thank you once again. And I keep on wanting to say what Larry's. Well, we could always say what Larry says. Larry says, get in the woods, people.
Out of my head, out of bed, still sleeping. Could I be dead? Or is it something I have done? Did in a while. I get tired of talking. I put on a smile.